The National Desk, America's News Now.
Happening now, holiday travel trouble, thousands of flights canceled, delayed, leaving Americans stranded across the country.
We have absolutely no answer on when we're going to go out.
So it's kind of like a perfect storm.
Both airlines and travelers left scrambling. What's happening now to stop the chaos? The Supreme Court sides with the White House. Remain in Mexico could soon be no more.
There's still more issues to be resolved. We're not done.
The next steps from those pushing back on the policy and what the decision means right now for security at the southern border. Plus, the battle over abortion rights not over yet. The push to make Roe a federal law. And inventory overload. Our fact-check team investigates the supply chain surplus, how it happened, and what goods you can buy now cheaper. And this is the National Desk, America's News Now, the weekend edition. I'm Angela Brown. We begin with your top stories of the week and the battle ahead. Major Supreme Court decisions still rattling the country. The reversal of Roe versus Wade, ending nearly 50 years of federal abortion rights. The court also ruling the Remain in Mexico policy can be ended. And now add 4th of July travel, hundreds of flights delayed or canceled this holiday weekend, along with new signs we are entering a recession. We are now taking a live look over the White House, where President Biden is urging the Senate to take action to make Roe versus Wade the law of the land.
If you do not move from the roadway, you will be arrested.
You can see it there. More than 180 protesters fighting for abortion access, demonstrating outside the Capitol Thursday. Protesters coast to coast are demanding Congress act now. But a federal abortion law may be a hard sell. Any bill would likely be blocked by Senate Republicans. The president this week asking Democrats to get rid of the filibuster to get around the 60-vote threshold.
If the filibuster gets in the way, it's like voting rights. It should be, we provide an exception for this, require an exception to the filibuster.
Now, this is unlikely to happen. Moderate Senators Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin have repeatedly said they are against getting rid of the rule. Now, women are caught in the middle of this legal battle as states work out what services they can provide. This week, judges in Florida and Kentucky temporarily blocked laws that place limits on abortion. They joined Texas, Utah, and Louisiana, the map there on your screen, where judges also halted bans this week. In Florida, the law was set to take effect Friday, banning abortions after 15 weeks. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he will appeal that decision. And now to the latest from San Antonio, where 4 people are now being charged in connection to a human smuggling operation in San Antonio that left 53 migrants dead. Police say the driver of the truck right there initially pretended to be among the injured and tried to get away, but was caught. More than 60 migrants were found in and around a semi-truck on Monday in the sweltering heat with no signs of water or air conditioning inside. Governor Greg Abbott is now planning to tighten security at border checkpoints after the truck carrying those migrants managed to pass through checkpoints twice without being flagged. Tighter security comes as the Supreme Court sides with the Biden administration, ruling it does not have to enforce the so-called Remain in Mexico policy. The National Desk's Christine Frizzell breaks down what the ruling means from Washington, D.C.
It was touted as a way to deter thousands of migrants from coming to the United States.
Under this agreement, if an illegal alien requests asylum, they have to wait in Mexico until their case is heard.
But upon taking office, vowing a more humane immigration system, President Joe Biden suspended the policy, which some say forced migrants to stay in a country that didn't have the resources to care for them.
They lived in squalid conditions, and by they, I mean whole families, children. There weren't enough bathrooms, there weren't enough clean water, there wasn't enough food, and they were in danger.
In its 5-4 opinion, the Supreme Court held the decision to stop enforcing migrant protection protocols did not violate the Immigration and Nationality Act, that the Constitution authorizes the executive branch to engage in direct diplomacy with foreign heads of state and their ministers.
That means that under a president who's more pro-immigrant, immigrants may be treated more favorably. And under a president, as we saw President Trump use that power to enforce harsh measures. So it cuts both ways.
In his concurring opinion, Justice Brett Kavanaugh noted the multi-decade inability of the, quote, political branches to update immigration policy at a time when there are record numbers of migrants encountered at the southern border. Concerns of an overwhelmed Border Patrol compounded by this week's heartbreaking tragedy. A tractor trailer filled with migrants in San Antonio, more than 50 dying of heat exhaustion, and political finger-pointing ensuing.
It's time for President Biden to reinstate the strategies that were put in place by President Trump.
Still, the justices in this case, Biden v. Texas, did seem to agree that updating the laws to deal with the challenges at the border remains in the hands of Congress and is also long overdue. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting for the National Desk, America's News Now.
One of the final decisions from the Supreme Court struck a blow to the climate change fight. The court ruled to curb the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gases. The decision could complicate the president's plan to cut the greenhouse gas emissions in half by the end of the decade. But the High Court's controversial term ending in a historic fashion.
I am pleased to welcome Justice Jackson to the court and to our common calling.
Ketanji Brown Jackson making history, becoming the first African-American female Supreme Court justice, replacing now retired Justice Stephen Breyer. She takes the bench in October. Right now, travelers are in the middle of chaos at the airport. Millions of Americans are flying this holiday weekend, and the numbers are up right there, reaching pre-pandemic levels. The TSA says more than 2 million passengers flying nearly every day in June. Now, AAA is predicting around 42 million people flying this weekend as thousands of flights delays simply stack up. Our crews in Washington, D.C. caught up with travelers Thursday, already having issues.
I got a message yesterday afternoon saying your flight is canceled. Called the airlines and they said, well, we can get you out on July 2nd. I'm like, I've paid a lot of money for tickets. I don't want to fly anymore anytime soon because I can't depend on the airlines.
Well, all those delays and cancellations also leading to hiccups when it comes to your luggage. This is what it looked like at the Austin Bergstrom International Airport in Texas this week. Dozens of bags arriving before their owners. You see that pile right there waiting to be claimed.
And the flight got canceled, and so found out my luggage had made it, but I was still up in the DFW area. Just came today after a day of rest to come and pick up my luggage, but it looks like they've got quite a pile there.
Airlines blame the issues in part on staffing shortages. Hundreds of Delta pilots hit the picket lines this week demanding better pay and better schedules. With all these issues, both passengers and airline workers are demanding the government get involved and do something about it. Our fact-check team exploring the options on the table.
With busy summer travel in full swing and staff shortages causing delays and cancellations, airlines are scrambling to control the madness. I'm back with our fact check team tonight. Courtney, what steps are being taken to address the problem?
Megan, well, one option the Federal Aviation Administration is looking into is allowing planes to fly at lower altitudes to avoid weather challenges. But the problem is that option burns more fuel. Airlines are also coming up with their own solutions. In April, American Airlines launched a program called HEAT that analyzes traffic and potential disruptions, allowing it to delay flights as early as possible to avoid those excess cancellations.
Well, what about those staff shortages?
Well, some airlines are actually looking at incentives. Within their regional airline, American Airlines is raising pilot pay by 50% with some strings attached. And the Federal Aviation Administration is also looking to hire more than 4,800 new air traffic controllers over the next 5 years.
And Connor, what has the government been saying about all of this?
Well, they're really upset, especially since taxpayers gave $54 billion to bail out the airlines. Senator Bernie Sanders wrote a letter to the Department of Transportation calling for them to fine airlines $55,000 per passenger for every canceled flight they know can't be fully staffed. The DOT responded by pointing out what they've already done to address this issue, like its new rule designed to protect consumers from, quote, unfair and deceptive practices, and a proposed rule requiring prompt refunds when they're due. The DOT has also opened multiple investigations and has taken actions against airlines that are out of compliance, including giving Air Canada the largest fine in department history after they failed to issue cash refunds. Secretary Pete Buttigieg says the department will watch airline travel closely this weekend and throughout the rest of the summer to determine whether more action is required.
Our fact check team will continue to follow developments on these and other issues. You can also read the story with links on where these two found their information. It's all on our website. Just go to thenationaldesk.com.
Too young to drive, not too young to steal. The dangerous crime trend involving our youth and the city at the center. Plus, the gloves are off as another state pushes a parents' rights bill, while opponents say they're just trying to scare parents. You're watching the National Desk, America's News Now. You can watch us live weekdays from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. We will be right back. And this is the National Desk, America's News Now. Our team of nearly 4,000 local journalists bringing you the headlines from coast to coast, from the high home prices in Maine to the return of the Special Olympics in Ohio. We are taking the pulse of America, and we start in Texas, where police say the rise in auto thefts is being driven by teens.
These are young juveniles that don't know how to drive a vehicle very well, so they're crashing vehicles at an alarming rate.
Video the police have seen shows kids stealing guns from cars, driving erratically, and even ramming stolen cars into police cars when chased.
As young as 12, the average age, I would say somewhere around 14 to 16.
Groups of kids are believed to be committing these crimes, and they're extremely active.
The volume, I guess, is what is alarming, but they'll do 20 to 50 of these burglaries in one night all over the area.
Where juveniles are very well organized, and so, they move. They don't want to be in the same area all the time.
Even though they are juveniles, some of them are not strangers to law enforcement.
Some of these juveniles are not just your regular kids. They're thinking this is fun. These are already career criminals. Some of them we've been dealing with since they've been 10 years old. Hopefully that we, in the near future, develop a very strong organized crime case against these young people.
We live in Gray, so it's a little farther out of the Portland area and wanted to be closer to Portland.
Sonny Pecoraro says when her family started looking for a new home in Portland, they realized they'd have to pay $300,000 more to get a home similar to their own.
In the price range of what we could sell our house for, even though it could sell for a lot more, there's no way we could afford anything that's even close to the quality of our home right now.
And we just kept getting beat out. Cash offers, $100,000 over asking. It just got so ridiculous. We weren't even in top 3 offers, and we were going 30, 40,000 over ask.
Both decided to give up their search.
We're seeing a lot of disappointment. We're seeing what we call buyer fatigue, where they might make offers on 7, 8, 9, 10 properties and unsuccessful in acquiring it.
Right now, the median home price in Cumberland and York counties is a staggering $473,000. To afford a home at that price, you'd have to earn more than $130,000 a year. Yet the median household income in southern Maine is $62,000, not even half that. In a balanced market, the average home sells in 6 months. In this seller's market, homes are selling in 6 days and for well over asking price.
Anything that we we're looking at, I mean, it went off the market so quickly.
Over 2,000 athletes gathered at the Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm happy I'm back on the track. I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, there you go. The Special Olympics Ohio Games returned in person.
That special needs community, getting to see everybody, getting to honor them, getting them to see their abilities and getting them to showcase it.
Over 2,500 athletes participated from across 54 counties, and the athletes couldn't be any more excited.
Shot put and wanting.
Run and run your hearts out.
It's the atmosphere. It's that you get the community to come to a central place. It lets us parents, it lets the athletes, it lets them all know you can do this.
As much as the athletes love competing,
seeing all my friends and competing in competitions and stuff.
Makes me feel good because I can meet all my old friends back and meet new people.
In Pennsylvania this week, a bill passed the state Senate preventing young students from being taught about gender identity and sexual orientation. It's being compared to Florida's parental rights law that critics called the Don't Say Gay bill. The National Desk's Samantha York spoke to the lawmaker sponsoring the bill to find out why he introduced it.
Families are very concerned.
Senate Bill 1278 seeks to keep gender identity and sexual orientation from being taught in pre-K through 5th grade classrooms.
It's an issue where you have some educators who are initiating these conversations without families being made aware.
Whether it's something that needs to be legislated, no, I disagree with that.
This is legislation that isn't compassionate, that is looking to exploit fears in people that have been stirred up in the last couple of years.
Under the Empowering Families in Education Act, students could be introduced to the subjects in 6th grade when sex ed enters the curriculum through health state standards.
Doesn't prevent any organic conversations that may be brought up by a student in a classroom, but does say that it ought not be teacher initiated. It should be family initiated at those early grade levels.
Teachers shouldn't talk about gayness. I don't think they should. That's the parents' responsibility to talk about sex education to their children. It's not the school's responsibility.
Sexual orientation is not about sex.
Those opposed to the bill call it controversial.
Say you're a child from a same-sex family. You're going to feel lesser than the other people that this is being targeted against your family.
That's the way they want to live. That's their life.
It gets caught up as being an anti-LGBTQ piece of legislation, Don't Say Gay. That couldn't be further from the truth.
Those in favor of the bill call it common sense.
Parents are the ones to initiate sensitive conversations around sexual orientation, gender identity.
I think a lot of kids are going to be awkward about it and they're going to be mixed up. They don't need to be talked about. Yeah.
Young people, in an appropriate way, ought to be informed about what the fabric of their community looks like, because they're going to see it every day.
That was Samantha York reporting. There are exemptions within the text for children who feel unsafe having these conversations at home with their parents. The bill is now headed for the Pennsylvania House. A mother runs into a school shooting scene in order to save her children.
My son runs out to me. He's like, "Mom, Mom."
Why she says she's now being harassed by police. And the Fed raising interest rates to try and stop a recession. Is it working? We ask an economist coming up. For more on these stories and all the latest headlines, you can catch us anytime at thenationaldesk.com. We'll be back after this. Right now, the pressure is on the Biden administration and really the Federal Reserve to cool down red-hot inflation. This week, Fed Chair Jerome Powell making some pretty big statements at a forum held by the European Central Bank. Powell admitted there's a, quote, clock running to stop inflation before it becomes permanent. And looking back, something the Fed got wrong, hoping that the supply chain crisis would reverse and heal quickly. However, he said he remains confident the Fed can bring inflation back down to its target level while maintaining a solid labor market. But officials have gotten it wrong before, so is this prediction accurate? Our Megan O'Halloran asked economist Austin Goolsbee.
Well, it sounds more like hopeful thinking, probably better than wishful thinking, but you gotta have good fortune for that to be true. Fed's raising interest rates as fast as really they've ever raised them. So there is definitely a danger of that, plus the price of gas, plus what's happened in the stock market, that we could have a recession and that in a way they overshoot.
Well, raising interest rates without sparking a recession, Jerome Powell essentially said that's the goal and there are pathways to achieve that. Many banks have come out and predicted otherwise. How is the Fed managing all of this? What grade would you give them?
So far, definitely incomplete, because you got to wait to see how they do on the final. And the final exam in this case is going to be exactly what you said. Can they slow inflation without sending us into recession? That's a delicate balance, and it's one that's made a little more difficult because of how weird this downturn was. It looked nothing like previous business cycles. So how hard they're going to step on the brake to weigh off against how fast they think the economy can handle, we're going to have to see if they can pull it off.
You know, Austin, I'm imagining U.S. households sitting around looking at their budgets, looking at their bills, trying to figure out how to cut costs. We've seen gas prices come down a touch, gas tax holidays implemented, prices fluctuating at the grocery store. What should the average American family be planning for the next few months out?
Oof, I mean, it still seems like for substantially high prices and continued inflation, even if the Fed does exactly what it wants to do and doesn't generate a recession, it's still going to be months before you would see easing of this inflationary burden. So I think every household, when you're sitting at the table, you've got to be thinking, for this summer, we're gonna have some belt tightening, and we're gonna have to keep an eye on costs.
A few more months to go on that. The U.S. economy shrank at a faster rate than anticipated during the first quarter, 1.6%. This adding to recession fears. I know we talked about that a little bit earlier here, but what can the Biden administration do right now in the second quarter to turn momentum around?
Well, as you know, 90+% of what happens in the economy has nothing to do with Washington. It's not like there's some switch that the White House can go flip and then everything will be better. I think they have highlighted the strongest part of the economy by far is the job market. The unemployment rate extraordinarily low, and yet we're still putting up big jobs numbers, job creation each month. And the weakest part of the economy for sure is what's happening with prices. And so a lot of this, how things are going to go and whether we're going to come roaring back to be more like last year, or if we're going to peter out more like the first quarter of this year, a lot of that is going to depend on what happens at the Fed, and it's outside the control of the White House.
Austin Goolsbee, thank you for your time tonight.
Great to see you again.
A line crossed between church and state, or a victory for religious liberty. Coming up, the decision on the praying coach made by the Supreme Court and why it's causing so much controversy. And now taking a look at the top trending stories on our website right now. Police in Abilene, Texas say a 13-year-old was driving a stolen car that crashed, killing one teen and then hurting two other people. WNBA star Brittany Griner's trial has started in the Moscow area court. Griner is accused of trafficking cannabis, a charge the State Department is disputing. And a second tourist has been gored by a bison in Yellowstone just days after this attack right here was caught on camera. Those stories and so much more available right now at thenationaldesk.com. And looking ahead at a few big stories we're watching next week, accused school shooter Nicholas Cruz is getting his day in court 4 years after the tragedy in Parkland, Florida. Opening statements in his death penalty trial are scheduled to start Wednesday, July 6th. And the release date for the new inflation numbers are just around the corner. The Bureau of Labor Statistics scheduled to release June's numbers next Wednesday. Also, a former high school football coach asking for his job back. Still ahead, we talked to Joe Kennedy about his Supreme Court victory and what comes next.
I'm Altrell Nashar in Washington with a look at how people are cutting back their spending to keep up with the rising cost of everyday needs, like filling up your tank.
And you're watching the National Desk, America's News Now. You can catch us live weekdays from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then, of course, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time, and also anytime online at thenationaldesk.com. We will be right back.
The National Desk, America's News Now.
And taking a look at our top stories, the president asking the Senate to write Roe versus Wade into federal law as protests and celebrations really continue across the country. Texas Governor Greg Abbott ordering more border checks after more than 50 migrants were found dead in a tractor trailer. And the nation seeing one of its busiest travel weekends since the pandemic began. More than 40 million people expected to fly this July 4th holiday weekend. Well, you may have noticed this at the pump, gas prices slowly coming down. Thursday, AAA reporting the national average for a gallon of regulars now right there, $4.86. That's down a record from the record high that we hit nearly 2 weeks ago, but up a quarter from the national average last month and $1.76 higher than the national average last year. Even with gas coming down, the overwhelming majority of Americans say the U.S. is off track. A new AP NORC survey finding 79% of adults think the national economy is in poor condition. And then this number right here is very concerning to economists. The U.S. economy shrank by 1.6% more than expected. So what does this mean at home for you? A recession is typically defined as 2 straight quarters of decline. Of course, we're going to be watching the next quarter. With the country's economic future uncertain, many Americans are really cutting back. The National Desk's Altrell Nashar explains from Capitol Hill.
The effects of the highest inflation in 4 decades are starting to set in. More and more people watching what they spend.
We are going to taper back a little bit because of the hard times, do more stuff around the house.
Not much optimism things will get better soon. Near-term expectations for the economy at the lowest point in almost a decade, according to new data from the Conference Board. Gas arguably doing the most damage, the national average declining steadily over the past week, but still at $4.86 according to AAA. The share of adults saying it's causing moderate or severe hardship in their household jumping from 52% in April to 67% in June, according to Gallup.
It affects everything. It affects how much fruit you buy. It affects what you can do for your kids.
And for the first time since the Great Recession, a majority of Americans, 54%, say current economic conditions are poor. AAA forecasts a record 42 million people will drive this 4th of July weekend. But at the same time, according to Gas Buddy, overall demand for gasoline is starting to decline. 83% of adults say they're either changing personal travel habits or cutting back non-essential spending because of inflation, according to a Provident Bank survey out this week. No doubt paying attention to all of this is Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, leading the Fed's fight against inflation, sharing insight into his line of thinking.
Households are in very strong financial shape. They've still got a lot of excess savings.
During a panel Wednesday with European central bank leaders who are in similar fights with rising prices, say nothing is certain as the Fed gets more aggressive with monetary policy to cool inflation.
There's no guarantee that we can do that. It's obviously something that's going to be quite challenging.
For now, it's a waiting game as higher interest rates kick in, Americans pull back their spending, and the Fed readies next moves in July, watching for signs of recession. In Washington, I'm Audrey Nashar for the National Desk, America's News Now.
Americans are spending less and companies are left holding the bag with too much supply. Some are even marking down their prices. For example, cosmetic prices are down 9% according to the AARP. Toy prices have dropped a small amount as well. Now, if you're going to a game, tickets may be 11% cheaper, according to the Consumer Price Index. Other items selling for less include smartphones, jewelry, and also books. Now, this is happening because at the beginning of the pandemic, stores were finding themselves without things like toilet paper. We remember the rush. So retailers started to keep plenty of goods on hand. But when lockdowns lifted, what Americans wanted changed. Our fact check team looking closer into how stores are adjusting to keep up with our changing demands.
With inventory up and goods getting cheaper, stores are changing things up to keep up with evolving consumer trends. I'm back with our fact check team. Courtney, we'll start with you tonight. With the mix of record gas prices and the supply chain crisis, some stores may soon encourage customers not to return those unwanted items.
That's right, Megan. Some stores, including Target, Walmart, and Gap, reported in their latest earnings calls that they actually have too much inventory, ranging from workout clothes to toys. So instead of piling returned items onto the already excess inventory, stores are actually considering refunding customers without taking the items back. Steve Ropp, CEO of GoTRG, a firm that processes returned items for companies like Walmart, Amazon, and Lowe's, said his clients are weighing the, quote, returnless return option.
According to this practice is not exactly new.
It's not. Amazon in 2017 actually implemented the policy, which can in some cases be cheaper than the cost of shipping the item back.
All right, switching gears here now, Connor, how is this impacting the economy?
A lot of those big stores are taking a major hit in the stock market, with the S&P 500 retailing group down around 27% from what it was a year ago, which is its worst performance since 1990. To fix this, retailers are clearing out inventory as fast as they can, but that comes with a heavy upfront cost. Target is being particularly aggressive about marking down those prices to make space, and as a result, they've had to set their operating margins at just 2%. But investment company Motley Fool says the major retailers who've started clearing out unpopular inventory, like Target, have a better chance of making back some of their profits later this year.
All right, Connor and Courtney, thank you both. Our fact check team will continue to follow developments on these and other issues. You can also read this story with links on where they found their information. It's all on our website. Just go to thenationaldesk.com.
This week, the Supreme Court ruled a Washington State high school football coach can pray on the field. Joe Kennedy was put on leave in 2015 after praying at the 50-yard line. The school argued he violated the religious freedom of his students and that he coerced players into praying, hoping they'd fall under Kennedy's good graces. In his decision on the ruling, 6-3 ruling that is, Justice Neil Gorsuch said, in part, respect for our religious expression is indispensable to life in a free and diverse republic. This week, anchor Jan Jeffcoat interviewed Coach Kennedy about that decision.
The first thing is that I
was kind of vindicated in knowing that I never did anything wrong. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing is, you know, this fight has been well worth it all the way through for the past 7 years. All the people that supported me and everyone. This is just an awesome week.
You know, when we spoke in January, you told us that Marines weren't equipped to handle this legal stuff, but you did all right. So what has this seemingly never-ending experience taught you? How has it affected you?
A couple different ways. It made my marriage a lot stronger, and the relationships I have with other people, and knowing that I'm not out there alone. I do have to rely on everyone else to help me get through this, like my legal team. I have people all over the place. I have AJ Ferrati in Oklahoma. I have Jeff Helston. He's up in Washington. I got these guys in Texas, and then people all over the United States. It's just an awesome thing to know that the support has been there the whole entire time.
Jeremy, legally speaking, what does this decision mean for other people that want to have a prayer, not just at a sporting event, but really any event on school grounds?
It means that teachers and coaches can bring their constitutional rights through the schoolhouse gates. We've seen too often the last couple of years, last couple of decades, school districts that are intent on using the Establishment Clause to drive religion off campus every time it raises its head somewhere. And now Justice Gorsuch said, no, this is part and parcel to living in a republic. And in fact, respect for religious freedom, respect for these simple acts of religious expression are central to a diverse and inclusive society. And we're so grateful that Justice Gorsuch and the rest of the majority recognize that Joe Kennedy here has free exercise rights, has free speech rights, that the school district trampled over top of those things, engaged in discrimination, and no more will that be tolerated. Instead, we are today more free than we woke up on Monday morning.
I want to read what dissenting Justice Sonia Sotomayor had to say. She wrote, gaining the coach's approval may pay dividends small and large, from extra playing time to a stronger letter of recommendation to additional support in college athletic recruiting. She added, some students reported joining Kennedy's prayer because they felt social pressure to follow their coach and teammates. Coach, was there ever students that were pressured to join in this prayer? And what do you say to critics who agree with Justice Sotomayor?
You know, I got to shake my head, because that's not something that we do in Bremerton. I was just an assistant coach, so I didn't have anything to say about who played what and when. And the whole idea of there were students, well, who were these students? I mean, the school did, you know, they did a whole bunch of fact-finding, trying to figure out if there was anybody that was being forced or felt pressured. And if we had a problem with each other, or somebody didn't want to go along with a prayer or to do whatever, they just came and we talked. I had parents, I had players, I had everyone. I mean, that's what we do. We communicate with each other. It was never a big deal. Matter of fact, I had two of my players over the years that said, oh yeah, coach, I just don't want to do the prayer. I said, cool. And I made both of those guys my team captains. So the whole idea of that, I don't know where they made up these students from, but yeah, it's not a thing.
With this process taking years, we asked if there was ever a time when he wanted to walk away from the fight. His answer and the rest of that interview is posted right now, thenationaldesk.com. A mother's worst nightmare still not over. Coming up, why one woman is suing the police after rescuing her children from Robb Elementary School. And calls for packing the Supreme Court growing louder after this week's rulings. Our Capitol Hill team breaking down the continuing fallout. But first,
I've never seen as many fireworks in this building.
It may not be a supply issue putting a damper on holiday celebrations, why some fireworks displays this year will be calmer than they've been in the past. The National Desk's team of reporters bringing you the headlines from coast to coast. We're taking the pulse of America, starting in Texas, where one Uvalde mom says she's being followed by police after ignoring orders to save her sons during the Robb Elementary School shooting.
It was right here on May 24th in front of Robb Elementary when Angelina Gomez was handcuffed and told she had to cooperate by authorities. It was moments earlier when she had rushed to the school, had heard gunshots inside Robb Elementary, followed by children's screams. Without a doubt in her mind, Angelina Gomez knew she would have to save her children herself. She jumped a fence, began banging on a nearby door where her oldest son's teacher saw her. Gomez safely gets her oldest son and some of his classmates out, then goes back for her youngest son, running around the school desperately searching for his classroom.
At this moment, I'm jiggling the handle and I'm going pretty nuts, like trying to get the door open and it's not gonna open. So I stand back and the cops are already on me and they're like, "Ma'am, calm down."
She tells them to evacuate the school or she won't move.
Immediately, they start evacuating that classroom and my son runs out to me. He's like, "Mom, Mom." Just remember when my son saw my other son, one hugged the other one and said, "I'm so glad you're okay." And the other one said, "I was so worried that you weren't." So it was a big thing because in that moment I was like, they're really happy to see each other. They got that they're each other, that they're alive.
Since May 24th, Gomez claims she's been faced with scrutiny from law enforcement at her own home.
The other night we were exercising and we had a cop parked at the corner flickering us with his headlights.
She has been protesting along with other community members in Uvalde Town Square, asking for UCISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo to be fired. Her goal now is to file a lawsuit.
In Oregon, Portland police say they were not able to respond to vandalism calls last weekend due to staffing shortages. Multiple small businesses suffered damage, including the nonprofit Mother and Child. The organization's director says her building suffered about $10,000 in damages.
We're helping support people no matter what their walk of life is. And so the fact that they would ruin our place of business is ridiculous.
Portland police say they had to respond to a shooting and street racing calls that night and are now helping secure the buildings and also remove that graffiti. In Washington, a new survey from the Seattle Education Association is shedding light on just how burnt out teachers really are. About a third of Seattle educators plan to leave the district in the next 5 years, with 12% planning on leaving the profession altogether. The reason? 10% say they're working double-digit overtime, and more than 3/4 say district leadership is not supportive.
Educators are burned out, and that's what our member survey shows. And it comes from a mix of growing workload, disrespectful pay, and toxic working environments. And that trend is alarming.
Rodriguez adds teachers want more competitive wages, a lighter workload, and to feel heard by the district. And in Oklahoma, inflation is deflating fireworks shows. Workers at fireworks warehouses say shipping prices are exploding and those costs are being passed on to you. But people apparently are still going all out.
We have seen as much foot traffic as we ever have.
Workers say there are plenty of fireworks to go around, but shop early to make sure that you get what you want. Well, they called them forever chemicals, and now they're showing up in the things we eat. Coming up, where those chemicals are coming from and the discovery experts are calling a wake-up call. But first, the president explaining why gas prices won't be going down significantly anytime soon. Our Washington bureau explains. Next.
Welcome back to TND. Our Washington Bureau covers Capitol Hill and D.C. every day to report on the important issues facing the country and how they impact you. Two of our correspondents, Scott Thuman and Atra Elnishar, they're here with us to share their insights and analysis. Scott, major news from the Supreme Court over the past couple of weeks. What's the big political fallout?
Well, the president's still very angry about the Supreme Court decision to essentially overturn Roe v. Wade and now make it that much more difficult across the country for women to access abortion procedures. So what he is now suggesting is that Congress intervene. In other words, go around the filibuster, which currently requires 60 votes to move legislation forward, and instead make it a simple majority vote, making it more likely that he could say you need to codify, in other words, enforce the protections that were provided by Roe v. Wade so that women can have access to abortions. It's a controversial move, and it doesn't mean that he's got all Democrat support either on this one. There are plenty of people on the Hill who don't like the idea of opening up that door because it can come back to haunt you when you are not the party in power.
Yeah, shaping up to be another case of what Washington sees a lot of, easier said than done. Switching gears, Atra, President Biden raising eyebrows this week, saying Americans will be paying high gas prices at the pump for, quote, as long as it takes for Russia to back off of its invasion of Ukraine. On this holiday weekend, how are Americans reacting to higher prices across the board?
Well, what's interesting, Steve, is we are seeing indicators that people do not plan on skipping or skimping on their 4th of July celebrations, but to make up for it, will likely cut back elsewhere. So even though food costs are up across the board, if you plan to barbecue, meat, poultry, fish, up more than 14% from last year, but still the National Retail Federation forecasts that on average per person celebrating the 4th of July will spend about $84. And that's a 4th year in a trend of increased spending. So travel, too very expensive, plane ticket, gas, you name it, but still AAA predicts that 1.7 million more people will travel than last year. So the president, like you said, was asked this week how long people should expect to pay a premium for gas. And he says, again, as long as it takes that Russia can't invade Ukraine and perhaps invade elsewhere. So when you look at public opinion of not just how the president is handling gas prices, but their support for the U.S. funding Ukraine's efforts, we're starting to see it even out a bit. So disapproval of how the president's handling gas prices is going up, and support for the U.S. funding Ukraine's efforts is going down. And that's exactly what the president is worried about, and world leaders too, because remember, the U.S. is not the only country dealing with high inflation.
Yeah, and Scott, you talked to the Transportation Secretary this week about this weekend's expected travel snafus at the nation's airports. What did he have to say?
Well, we're seeing a lot of cancellations and delays over the last couple of weeks as more people get back up in the air. The secretary telling me he's very concerned that the airlines may not be up to speed when it comes to staffing. Of course, it's been well reported that there are fewer pilots out there, gate agents, mechanics, etc. But he's concerned that the airlines don't have enough people ready to answer the phone if you are delayed or canceled and you call looking for help. He's putting a lot of pressure on them to do more hiring, get staffed up on that. I talked to the heads of the Airlines for America Association. They represent the major carriers. They say, sure, that's an issue, but we also think the government needs to make sure there are more air traffic controllers, or they're also seeing a shortage. All of these things can combine for either really smooth sailing or difficult travels. Either way, both sides saying pack your patience.
A lot to watch this holiday weekend. Chief Political Correspondent Scott Thuman and National Correspondent Atra Elnishar, thank you both. Angela, back to you.
Well, thank you, Steve. When we come back, a shocking discovery in our nation's wildlife.
I was shattered, to be honest with you.
The discovery being called the canary in the coal mine that could already be making people sick. They're known as forever chemicals, and now they're being found in our environment. Wildlife are testing positive for PFAS, revealing just how widespread the contamination may be. The National Desk's Mark Hyman traveled to Maine to investigate new concerns about the chemicals' potential impact on people in this Inside Your World.
Maine is known for its landscapes, cliff-lined beaches, rolling rivers, and sprawling forests. A popular destination for hunting and fishing, it's no wonder the state is nicknamed Vacation Land. But a recent toxic discovery revealed a new chapter in a growing environmental crisis. Widespread contamination from a set of chemicals known as PFAS, which have been connected to cancer and other health problems in people.
When I found out personally about this PFAS contamination, I was shattered, to be honest with you.
The news came this past fall. 5 deer, sampled here in Fairfield, just outside the state capital of Augusta, tested positive for PFAS. The contaminated deer prompted a do not eat advisory for meat harvested in the surrounding area. For the executive director of the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine, David Trahan, it was a wake-up call.
Our wildlife are the canary in the coal mine. If it's in those animals, it's in everything else. The deer have to get it somewhere. They forage on the edges of fields, the edges of forests. That's where we grow our food. So for me, I immediately connected the dots.
The culprit is believed to be biosolids, sludge from sewage waste widely used as fertilizer. It can contain PFAS, which is absorbed in the soil, contaminating wildlife, livestock, and agriculture.
I feel like every time we turn and look for PFAS somewhere new, we're finding it.
It's a serious concern for Sydney Evans, science analyst at the Environmental Working Group, who told Inside Your World Investigates the problem of PFAS sludge extends far beyond Maine.
An EWG report that just came out estimates that 5% of all crop fields could be using sewage sludge as fertilizer. And so if PFAS in biosolids is as ubiquitous as it appears, forever chemicals could be contaminating nearly 20 million acres of U.S. cropland.
New Hampshire, Vermont, and Michigan have already identified PFAS and biosolids used on their land. But there's a patchwork of rules when it comes to regulating the problem.
There are some states where they're requiring testing of biosolids for PFAS specifically, and there are other states that are on the verge of banning it altogether. But I think the question is really, why is it a state's issue at all at this point? Because this affects everyone, and it doesn't stop at the borders. There are no limits on that kind of contamination, at the national level at least. That's the ultimate problem.
And a solution may be years away. The EPA is working on setting federal standards when it comes to PFAS in biosolids. But a report is not expected for at least 2 years. In the meantime, Maine has taken action. Officials have imposed a limit on PFAS in biosolids, with a full ban on the sludge now being considered.
You're going to see Maine, this little old state, Maine, way up in the corner. You're going to see us lead on this. We've got to figure this thing out, because exposing people to a chemical that can give them cancer or cause their death is unacceptable. I'm often told that people don't get involved until the wolf's at the door. Well, the wolf's at the door, you just haven't opened it yet.
For Inside Your World Investigates, I'm Mark Hyman.
And that will be all for us on the weekend edition of the National Desk, America's News Now. Don't forget, you can catch us live from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time, so check your local listings. You can also watch us online and catch up with the latest headlines on the nationaldesk.com. Have a great weekend. Happy 4th, and thank you so much for watching.